you're going to find like, yes, the papers are important, but what you bring to the table in terms of experience
is even more
important. So you don't have to have a degree to work remotely. Think of remote work as, the role that you're going to get as your business. Can you do a job with a laptop, with the Wi-Fi, with the quiet space?
Okay.
Then yes, you can work remotely.
Then you can work remotely. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Finance Friday. I'm very happy to have you guys back here. As you guys can see, the setup is a little bit different today because I have a guest. Her name is Lorine, and I'm gonna just be giving her a chance to introduce herself and to tell us a little bit about why we are here today. But before that, I want to just give a quick background to why we are doing this video today, and I think you're gonna want to listen in. Towards the end of last year, because of a conversation that I had with a client of mine who was a finance manager at a particular private firm, and he was being paid severely low, I mean like 45,000 Kenya shillings as a finance manager. It led me to want to have a conversation on my Instagram stories, just trying to find out how much some of us earn. And to my surprise, a lot of us that have very big titles, or a lot of the people who responded to my question sticker that have very big titles, did not have salaries or remuneration that was commensurate to the role that they had. And that story actually made me realize that a lot of us are really struggling with income. It's either you're employed with a very good job but you earn very little, or even some of the people in the hotel industry were telling me that they were earning 13,000 Kenya shillings per month. And you work in that place maybe 5 or 6 times, a week, which is one of the reasons why I thought about an alternative. I kept researching and asking, what is the alternative to the situation we are facing in terms of being underpaid and sometimes even overworked. And as I did my research, a lot of the people that responded to my question sticker that were earning a bit well, quite a number of them were doing remote work, which means that they are working here in Kenya, but they are working for foreign companies, whether that's in the States or, Dutch companies or Australian companies. They were doing remote work, which meant they were earning in foreign currency, which significantly improved their purchasing power. And so I figured, because I got you. You guys know I always got you. I wanted to bring someone who is an expert in remote work, which is why Lorraine is here today. She's a badass at remote work, whether that's sourcing remote work or even just helping you prepare to actually be able to get interviews and to get jobs that are actually remote. I'm really glad to have you here, Lorine. And before we talk so much, please tell us a bit about yourself. And most importantly, I'm very interested in your journey. How did you get into remote work? Because these things, someone told me, hawa watu wanafanyanga remote jobs, they're gatekeepers. Someone tells you, oh, I work for this, I work a remote job, etc. And then when you ask them, hey, how did you get into it? Or how did you, it's almost like it's hash, which is why I really love what you do, because you're so transparent and you're so honest about your journey and the opportunities that are there. So maybe you can talk to us a bit about how you got into remote work and how that has been for you.
Awesome. I like how you introduced me as a badass, because this year, they've always said, exactly, and to accept compliment as they come. I am she.
Yeah, you really are her.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on your channel, and hopefully this can impact many more people.
Amen.
Yeah, so I started my journey. Let's start from way back, right? When I started my career. I schooled at USIU. I did my bachelor's in accounting because I thought I really enjoyed business studies in high school. So after getting out, I was like, you know what can I do? I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. Let me go and do accounting. So I did accounting for 3 years. And then it was at the point of me doing an internship. And I interned at one of the biggest banks in Kenya. and the vibe wasn't just there. I was like, this cannot be what I do for the rest of my life, right? And then
Was the pay giving?
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But at that point, like you're an intern,
Just starting.
you're just starting. So even getting some form of remuneration, like sour, this works, right? Because it's still dependent on I was dependent on my parents at that stage. So, and I remember because I'm a type A personality, like I do this, I do that. So immediately I finished my undergrad, I knew I wanted to register for my master's. But I wanted to do master's in finance because that's where I was headed, right? And then I get in and, the spots for finance are completely filled. The only available spot is in HR. And I was like, you know what? Kinda. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I registered for my master's. And 1 year in, at that time, Mabati Rolling Mills was actually doing graduate trainees program. So they came to USIU and they were recruiting people, but because I was in session, I wasn't qualified. So I had to wait an entire year. And let me tell you, waiting that year,
Can imagine.
I went to so many interviews. And I think at some point my mother was really scared because she felt like I was getting into depression.
Yeah.
Just looking for a job.
Actually, an internship. Just anything.
Right. Mind you, I've got a degree. I'm graduated. I'm enrolled in my master's. And still I wasn't able to get something. Or you'd get into interviews. I'm like, Maze, this company? No. It's not a right fit, right? So short before, I think I was doing my thesis. That was like 1.5 years in. Again, my bachelor Mills, now the Maria Kani branch, does graduate trainees program. Again, I apply, and this time around, I'm called for an interview in HR. I've not practiced HR. All that I know is, the theory that I'm getting from my master's. So getting there, we were like 50 interviewees. I was the first one. I interview, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever comes out of it is fine. Lo and behold, I got the job as a graduate trainee. I remember screaming with joy in HR. Right? And so years passed by, and eventually I asked my manager, why did they pick me? Like, why did I get the job? Which is something that every single person should actually be doing, whether you do a job or not.
And we don't.
Yeah, so just get feedback. So then I asked, and they're like, we asked because they asked me a particular question, and I didn't have an answer to it. But my immediate response was that I don't know that, but I'm willing to give it a try. And then I just guessed, and that happened to be the right answer.
Oh, dear.
So it was, I think, their willingness to just learn and putting myself in an uncomfortable situation and acknowledging that I don't know this yet, but I'm willing to learn. So that's what got me the job, not because I was the most qualified person in HR, right?
That's so interesting because we are trained to lie in interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fast forward, 6 years on. My bachelor Mills, the exposure that I got was amazing because I got to do like all the facets of HR, from casual management to payroll to talent management to L&D, learning and development. So they actually gave me a good base. But as nature would have it, right? I felt like 6 years on, I wasn't where I wanted to be in my career.
Okay.
Because again, I always want to say, like, what next? What is out there?
Type A.
Type A. Which is a good and bad thing, but yeah.
I hear it.
Yeah. So I remember, and this was after, it was, I think, 2021, right? Right after COVID. So TikTok was still the buzz. And I was a TikToker. So scrolling by TikTok on my For You page, and this creator comes on board. She is a LATAM creator, and she's talking about how she is working for a US-based company, but in Mexico.
Okay.
I'm like, that is interesting. So I save it.
Okay.
Mind you, at that stage, I was already applying to opportunities because I was like, I need something else, right? It's a good company, yes, providing me with a good base, but I need something else. Yeah. Then the next day I go sending my application
to the TikTok.
Because she featured a number of companies that are hiring.
Okay,
right? Remotely.
Okay.
So I go in there, I type out Superside. They're currently hiring for what was it? A people ops role? No, people care role, right? And a DI specialist. I didn't know what DI was.
What's DI?
What DI? DI is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh,
in Kenya, there's nothing of the sort.
There's no such role here. It's just HR.
Just HR.
Yeah.
Right? And it was at that point, actually, that you were now, the HR profession is getting into like HR business partners. That it was just an emerging role, right? So not even DI, we weren't even close. So yeah, I get in, send in my application. I think 2 weeks go by, I get shortlisted. Yeah, I get shortlisted. Part of the application, the question that I was asked was, have you worked remotely? I was like, you know what, Lorraine? In 2020, during the pandemic, you guys worked from home, right? So yes,
I've worked remotely.
I've worked remotely. Yeah, so I get shortlisted, and boy, oh boy, the interview process that I went through. There are like 5 interview sessions, right?
Like remote work is one of those, the interview process, I feel, is where most people give up. Yeah.
Because I remember I went through the first interview with my hiring manager then, which was cool. It was just, tell me about yourself. What do you do? What have you done? And you're like, oh, cool. Nice. Then the second interview, you're given a case study. And now you have to come up with a presentation.
Oh, dear.
And if you have not done a presentation before,
yeah. Or if you don't know your stuff.
If you don't, exactly, right? And so this is why I attribute kind of part of my success to, the school that I went to and the background that I got from Mabati, right? So then there is that. So then the other level was now, I think, what was the other level? What am I forgetting? I know there's a third level, right? I had to do the presentation, and then I had to even meet with the VP of HR now, of people department. So after, I think at some point, I told my manager that, even if I don't get this job, can we be friends?
I know.
Because I was like, we're meeting at a time. Like, can we just be friends, right?
Yeah, I've seen you enough times for you to...
Yeah, you're not familiar with me.
Yeah.
So after that, I got the job. And I was ecstatic.
I can imagine.
I was ecstatic.
And now we are earning in USD.
We're now earning in USD. Even before we get to the earning in USD, right? When they asked how much what's your expected salary? I think at that time I was earning 160 gross, right? And I was like, can I say 200? I'm like, no, just cook a number. It's like 350. Just like that.
Oh, dear.
And it was like, okay, cool. And then we get to now contract signing because they have to sign a contract, right? And then, they tell me I'm going to be earning $3,000. And that $3,000 is actually net. It is not gross because they don't want to get involved in, in taxes and stuff and medical stuff and what, right?
So you sort yourself out.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, whoa.
Aren't you losing it at this point?
I was.
Yeah. Like that's a monthly, that's awesome.
It is. It was.
That's life-changing.
It was life-changing.
Yeah.
It was life-changing. And I think for me, what it did is that it kind of authenticated what I knew I had, right? In terms of the skills and how good of a professional I was. For someone to want to pay me $3,000 without even thinking twice about it.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah. So then I get into Superside. We work, and we're going to talk about this. We guys work, remote workers work. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think I always say I manifested my way into remote work and also manifested my way out of remote work. So at some point I was feeling really burnt out and I needed something else to do. Now,
you like something else.
I know. Like Maslow's hierarchy, right? Because before it was the money. Now that I've gotten the money, I'm like,
it's almost like, is this all there is to it?
No. Right? Yeah, because it got to a point where, like I said, I've got a son. I've got a son, right? And it got to a point where he wasn't seeing me for 2 days. Yet I'm working from home. I'm working in a different room.
Yeah.
Right? You'd come open the door and be like, oh, Mama is busy.
Yeah, she's working.
She's working. And after I'm done with working, I'm also quite tired.
Yeah, you don't have
I don't have energy. I don't have time. I just want to go and just, crawl in my bed and sleep and get up the next day and do it all over
again.
Yes.
And next week, and the next month, and next year.
So the money is coming in.
Yeah.
But I hardly get to see, my family. I hardly get to spend time with my family, which is part of the reason why I was, that's why you get money, so that you get to enjoy life. Right? So when you're not doing that,
it stops making sense.
Stops making sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I remembered that when we were working remotely, right, as a DI specialist, we wanted to, bring more people of color on board, right? Because that is like a really huge measure.
Yeah, like
for
having diversity higher.
Diversity, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so at this stage, I'm thinking, what else can I do? I've done cooking, I've done traveling content. Now it looks like it's work. It's no longer fun. And then like, what else can I give, people, right? Can I share my knowledge? And that's what I started doing. I started sharing my knowledge that I had gathered over the years, and how we can get into remote work. And that is how Beyond the Savannah is actually born. And so Beyond
I was actually heading there. Like, so Beyond the Savannah, what is that all about, and what do you do?
So Beyond the Savannah technically means beyond Africa. So we're looking for opportunities outside of Africa, because truth be told, our African economies are struggling. Reasons for them struggling, can be attributed to so many things, but here to pinpoint, right? But the truth is that we are struggling. Yet there are companies who are actually willing to hire Africans. The motive behind that can be sketchy at times, but then again, I always say, if you don't have employment in Africa and someone is willing to offer us employment, we take what we can.
Exactly.
So that's how Beyond the Savannah was born, because I want Africans to work in Africa, invest in Africa, enjoy the purchasing power because you're earning in foreign currency in Africa while working for companies in the diaspora.
Yes. That's amazing. Now, I want us to get into the nitty-gritties of it, right? So on my channel, we talk a lot about money, right? And budgeting and planning and investing. And every time I'm having a conversation with my subscribers or my followers or even paying clients, we always will do a budget. Always. Like I'm your budget girl. I'm like that annoying. You'll come to me and you're like, Susan, I have $1,000 to invest. And I'm just going to we need to start from the basics. You know why I believe in budgets? They tell a story. And one of the most powerful things a budget will tell you is if someone is experiencing money problems, what the issue is. Is it a spending problem or is it an income problem? And to be honest, I think the past year I've had to open my mind to the idea that people are not just bad budgeters. It's not all the time that when we have financial problems is that, we are blowing our money. I work with clients sometimes. We do the budget. There's not a single luxury in sight. And they still don't have enough to pay their debt, to invest, to take their children to good schools or whatever, right? Which is why this year I'm very committed. That's why I told you we'll work together for a while, because I'm very committed to empowering people to earn more. Because you see, when you have an income problem, there's only one way to sort it. Earn better money. And I think, like, for me, that really resonates with me, because when I was employed, I feel like I worked a decently good job at a decent investment company. I mean, I was the actual definition of overworked and underpaid, because tell me why. I'll come in maybe at 7 sometimes if we have a meeting. There are days we'd leave past midnight even, and the company will pay me 40,000 gross. So you're hardworking, you went to school, you're giving it your all, you barely even have time to go back to school even, right? So you can't upskill. You don't have a social life. You literally don't have a life, and you earn 40,000 gross. Now, if I'm to break it all down in terms of like, and especially at that time, I had quite a bit of black tax going on. Really, there was nothing. Which is why at the point of me losing my job, I didn't have savings, I didn't have investments, and I had debt. And mind you, I'm working with people to help them invest their money, build their portfolio, and get out of debt. And you can't do it for yourself, right? Which is why I'm so big on even the conversation that we're having today, having people open their minds to the possibility of I can apply for jobs that are not Kenyan based.
Yeah.
As a Kenyan, I don't have to have an accent like Lorraine.
Absolutely, you don't need to.
I don't need to have gone to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I can access like remote work.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I know he's gonna watch this and laugh. My younger brother, is one of those Gen Zs that confuses his own parents because the boy will not take an office job to save his life, and he doesn't even have 5 bob. He was so clear from the word go. Like, he finished his undergrad and he came home and told us, this degree is useless. He was very woke. This degree is useless. We are learning, he did BBIT. It was like, we are learning the history of computers. I need to understand the future. Job opportunities require me to know. And he was like, we had a whole argument where he was like, I'm not taking internships. I'm not taking jobs. I want to go back to school and I want to do software engineering. So after fighting, discussions, deliberations, interventions, we, take him back to school. He does software engineering. And even after he got out, because he just graduated from software engineering, he's very clear. He does not want an office job. He wants remote work. So, now that's what we are working around in terms of like, and I love the exposure that some of them have.
Yeah.
I think that's one
of the... on the money.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, that's one of the things I love about Gen Z, their generation, I believe. And some of us millennials as well. We are aware that these opportunities are there. Yeah. We are unwilling to go for a 8 to 5 Monday to Saturday for 40,000.
Yeah.
Unwilling. Mm-hmm. Unwilling to the point of I will stay home.
It's knowing your worth, right?
It's knowing your worth, right?
And knowing where your skills are marketable.
And where, exactly. Which is why I think, because I want our audience to not just hear our stories, because we have many, we'd be here for like 6 hours, me and you. And we can't exhaust. I want us to I want to understand 2 things from you. The technical bit of it, okay? I am a Kenyan right now, a young professional.
Yeah.
I have a degree in marketing, accounting, mass communication, HR, whatever, right? What do you think? Is there a secret sauce in terms of like, what are some of the skills that you feel I should possess, or someone who's watching us should possess to be able to even stand a chance with remote companies? Yeah. Even if it's not just one, what's that set of skills that I should be thinking about acquiring if that's a route I want to take?
When you're talking about the skills, right, there are, of course, the general ones, or I like to term them as the soft skills. So presentation skills, right?
Like how you were, during your interview process, you had to do
a presentation.
Yeah.
And the thing about remote work is that you're going to find yourself in rooms with CFOs, CTOs, directors, and VPs. And they want to hear what it is that you bring to the table, what recommendations that are going to bring to the table. And you cannot do that if you're not able to communicate, whether that is through presentation, whether that is through written or even oral, right? So how you communicate is really important. That is what is going to set you apart from everyone else, right? So that is one. 2, I always say, in this era of data-driven decisions, if you don't have any data analytical skills, what are you doing? Regardless of whether you're in customer service, marketing, HR, or even accounting, everyone needs a data analytics course that you needed to have done.
Oh, really?
Yes, because remember, you're going to be asked to bring recommendations because it is solution-based. And then those solutions are not just, I've had this and this is what we can do. It has to be backed by data for it to make sense. At that level, at that C-suite level, what matters is the numbers.
Oh.
So you need to be able to interpret the numbers, make sense of the numbers, and then come up with recommendations.
Wow. Do you know, you mentioned data analytics and it now makes sense so much. There's a place I go to get massages once in a while, right? And the lady who does my massages is interested in like exiting that space with time because it's very physically demanding to like stand the whole day and all of that. And I remember, she told me that she's upskilling, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she told me she's doing data analytics, and I just looked at her like,
Yeah, massaging data.
And she told me, I mean, she's been talking to like mentors and stuff like that. And, she was told like it's a very good foundation regardless of, where you're going. That's really interesting. So data analytics.
Because when you look at, let's take a look at, let's break it down further. In HR, you have to do HR reporting and analytics. In marketing, you have to do ROI.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So regardless of where you are, data analytics comes into play. Then the other thing is that the buzzword at the moment, AI. If you're not using AI to make your work more efficient and effective,
what are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So those are some of like the basic skills that everyone needs to have.
So communication skills, presentation skills, data analytics, anything else?
AI, like
AI,
right? What else? And then now the rest, right, are going to be, one other thing is that cross-functional collaboration as well as multicultural collaboration. Because again, the environment that you're going to be exposed to is different cultures. You're going to be working with people distributed across the globe.
So what does that look like practically?
So how that looks like is
it me like knowing how to speak French, German?
Not really.
What exactly does that
Not really. Yeah. Understanding how different cultures manifest, right? Because we might think in Kenya, because there are 47 plus tribes, right? We always like to think, oh yeah, we're quite diverse, we're very different. In the global scale of things, we're actually quite the same. Our mannerisms are the same. How we communicate is the same. How we accept feedback or receive feedback is the same. How we think about time management is the same. You're going to find yourself, and this becomes very clear, especially when you now have like a manager reportee relationship, because you're going to find companies or cultures, the Western cultures, are very direct with their feedback.
Tell me about it.
Yeah? If you did A, B, C wrong, they're going to be like, Sue, you did A, B, and C wrong.
Yeah.
Next time, do this and that. Whereas where we come from, we like to beat around the bush. Right? We like to, have the sandwich method, right?
So compliment, criticism, compliment. So I really like how you did this presentation. However, criticism, but you're doing such a good job,
right? So imagine,
well, someone else would just be like, this is this card, do it again, thanks.
Yeah. So imagine you're in such a situation. How then do you manage that?
Yeah.
You might take it personally, but that's just how they communicate.
Yeah.
So that is, cross-functional, cross-cultural. So imagine yourself in such a situation where, you've got a manager from one of those Western cultures and you are in Africa, right? The relationship is going to be strained. Or if you don't know how to manage it, then, you're going to sometimes take it personally. Yeah, that is just how they communicate.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that. And that is where, cross-cultural collaboration or even just being aware of that cross-cultural awareness comes into play. Right.
I love that. Maybe my next question, now that we know like the most essential skills for landing remote jobs, right? What are some of the industries or roles that are currently, as we speak right now, in high demand? Like these are the roles, like if again, I want to really help someone who's watching us and wants to start, right? So we've talked about skills and I love the skills. It's almost like you can't think about it really, like in terms of whoever thinks. I mean, there was a point I really hated PPT. Like, oh my God, I hate presentations. And then when I started like coaching, and then I discovered that people understand things better when they see.
Yes, and they read faster when they see.
And they read faster when they see. So I just kind of had to learn it. I love the communication skills as well. I love the fact that, data and AI, those are things that, and do you know what I love about that is that if I go onto Udemy right now,
yes,
there's short courses, affordable short courses,
Or even free.
or even free courses, right? If I go on to, let's say Coursera and all these online platforms, I love that these things you're telling us are not things that will require me to go back to school for another 4 years or another 3 years. It's pretty much 3-month long courses, 6 months long courses, and you have
shorter.
or even shorter, and you have your certificate, and you can actually present it and use it as a, a qualification in that area. I love that. Now that we've talked skills, can we talk industry?
Can I say something? Yeah. I know we've talked about, so those are some of like the soft skills.
The soft skills,
right?
yeah.
So that's not all that you need to have for you to work remotely.
Give us.
Right.
Give
So
it.
now, then you have to look at it industry-wise or department-wise or function-wise.
Okay.
As an accountant, what are some of the skills that you need? As a HR professional, what are some of the globally technical skills that you need, right? You're not speaking talent management, you're not speaking DEI, you're not speaking coaching for HR, right? For accountants, we're not speaking accounts payables, receivables. Do you have knowledge of any finance software? Do you have SCCA, CPAs? If you're not talking project management, are you PMP certified? If it is marketing, are you certified by CIM, right? So all these things then come into play. And remember, all this is all about positioning yourself for these remote jobs. Yeah.
So you can't just come with your, I'm good at AI.
Yes. That is like
It's almost like on top of the basic. So you must have the technical skill.
You have to.
Yeah, you must have. And so maybe now that you've mentioned, before we go into the industries, I keep having back and forth with some of my friends, because I don't know about you. Please, guys, don't judge me. I really don't think taking masters right now and PhDs are what it used to be before. In terms of, because again, in my nature of work, because we talk money with most of my clients Monday to Monday, I feel like I've met people who have stacks and stacks of these papers.
Yes.
Like you have 2 undergrads, maybe you have a master's, you have a PhD, and it just doesn't, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
you understand. So I'm such a believer in taking, I think every month I'm taking a short course somewhere. Like I am just those people.
Yeah.
I'm a serial course taker. Like I'll just be like, I'll do this, I'll do the other thing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I do that because I feel like the more I run a business, and like the more I have a team, and the more I learn about the different ways in which I can scale my business, I do it for just being able. I don't like hiring out services that I know nothing about. So case in point, like I will have someone who does, let's say, for example, video editing for me, but I'm not completely green. If I have someone who does copywriting for me, I'm not, because pia ukiniacha kwa mata siku moja.
I know. Utaanzia wapi?
Yeah, I may not do it as perfectly as you, but
I
at
have
least
some level of
you know that I have. So I feel like running my business and being in the online space kind of like gives me the pressure. Today there's this new trend. The other day there's this new thing and all of that. So I like to kind of like stay up to date. But then, I mean, forgetting the small courses, sometimes I feel like if I had a choice or an option to do my master's or to go and get, like, say, PMP certified, like you said, I'm taking the certification over the master's. I'd want to hear your opinion on that. And like in your experience as a HR professional, what do you think? Am I delulu or
No, you're not. I actually landed my job, my remote job, because of my coaching certification. Because
that was how long? That's your day for how long?
8 weeks. Was it 8? Yeah, 8 weeks. Spent quite a bit of penny.
Still?
But
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because at the time they were looking for a HR professional who was also a certified coach.
Would you look at that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, immediate ROI. Yeah, so,
and you know why I say that, sorry for interrupting you, is because, again, I'm sitting here I'm a budget girl. Truly. I may not have the cash right now to go back to school. I'm barely making it. I'm barely able to just pay for my bare minimums at home.
Yeah.
If someone comes and tells me, oh, you need to upskill to get this job, and the upskilling will cost me 300 grand because I need to go to school for 2 years. Natoa masaa wapi, guys? Ninaenda shule sangapi? Tafanya thesis sangapi? Like, at what point will I do all of these things to the point now, oh, yay, I'm now a doctor, let's now get the job. As opposed to, I would really want people to hear it from, a HR professional. I feel like there's so much power in these short courses. Some of them you feel like you've not even spent so much money. So you kind of like think like, maybe it's not that,
Yeah.
but it really is. I mean, it's as long as they're like accredited courses and, you're getting it from a reliable platform, you pay some courses are even, I've seen courses on Udemy for $32. That's like less than 5 Gs. Yeah, I've seen them. And they're really good. Like, even if it's not like an actual certificate, like in terms of just knowing how to do the thing, like in terms of upskilling and knowing, like, I learned video editing. I learned, let's say, data analytics or whatever. And I feel like there's so much power and it's underrated because in African settings, we just want the big names. We want
the masters and the PhDs.
Yeah, we want the masters and the PhDs, and there are people with masters and PhDs that don't have jobs.
True. And what I like to tell my clients is, and you actually hinted, right, that you need to always keep abreast of the industry changes. In the remote setting, the only thing that is constant is change. So if you're not comfortable, with figuring things out by yourself, you're really going to struggle. And I find like a really good entry point for you to start actually learning and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable is upskilling.
Upskilling any day.
Particularly the self-paced ones, right? So I always say, please upskill. When you're working together with my clients, I usually give them a set of courses that they need to do. And I'm always like, this is just the beginning. I expect you to do more and more courses after this, right? And I know you said Udemy that charges like the courses going for $32. One platform that I absolutely love is LinkedIn Learning. Like, people have LinkedIn profiles, but they don't know that there's a LinkedIn Learning, right? And you get to pay like, 3,500 Kenya shillings monthly, and you get access to several courses. And the beauty is, LinkedIn Learning, they do actually vet their
course providers.
Their course providers, right? So even when you, as a recruiter, you come with a course, let's say data analytics, or I don't know, project management from LinkedIn Learning, it gives me some sense of assurity that, you've actually been trained by the best.
Exactly. So, and that's amazing to hear. So certifications, guys, get your papers. Even if you don't have the money to get like a master's or a PhD, we're not saying there's anything wrong with yours, right? Like, I'm just addressing, because I would also like anyone who feels like, but I don't have the finances for it, to not come out of this conversation feeling like, but all they did was tell us to upskill, but where's the money to upskill? You could do the courses on LinkedIn Learning. I mean, as you've had 3,500 Kenya shillings. That's how much, if I go out on a good day and I'm having my decent meal with a nice drink and a dessert, that's gone. That's the amount, Well,
then the same amount you're investing in your brain,
you've invested in
I think it also makes sense. Like, again, going back to, the masters and the PhDs, right? It made sense a while back, like you mentioned, because then you would get your master's and then you get promoted based off of your educational level, right?
Exactly.
But nowadays, that's not the case.
Can we not even go there? Like
and even in the remote setting, you're going to find like, yes, the papers are important, but what you bring to the table in terms of experience
is even more
important. So you got people with diplomas working remotely, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a degree to work remotely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to come to the education. I was going to come to the formal papers, right? Yeah. So maybe tell us about like hot industries right now. Especially because I do know that majority of my my audience is Kenyans.
Yeah.
We have Tanzanians, we have Burundians, like the Eastern African place. What are some of the very hot industries right now and roles that you feel people are sleeping on or people are not aware of? So that if I'm watching this video today and I want to have like a starting point. like, so this is something that I can start. I can get a course in this area today, or begin to pursue certification in this particular area. What are those industries and roles that right now in the remote working space are just, people should not sleep on them?
Okay. I'm going to answer this question with kind of like giving not a story, but walk with me, right? Let's say you're a founder and you have a product or service that you want to offer. The first people you're going to bring on board are going to be the product designers, the engineers, the software engineers, etc., right? To work on your product or service. Make sure that it's ready. So after that, after your product or service is ready, then the next step is that you want to bring people who are going to sell and market that product or service, right?
I see where you're going.
You know where I'm going? So then you bring on board the sales and then the marketers. Then, because getting a client is actually an expensive affair, you now bring on board people to take care of your existing clients. So then you bring on board the customer service or customer experience professionals, right? Thereafter, you now have 20 or 30 people. You now want someone to take care of your employees to ensure that the productivity is high, they're feeling valued. You then bring on board HR, accountants, etc. Then later, think about, why don't I have a procurement SOP?
Yeah.
And you bring on board procurement, right? So going by that, right, it only means that you're going to find lots of opportunities in the tech space. However, you're also going to find loads of opportunities in the customer experience space. That is one space that actually is constantly hiring.
Okay.
Really? Yeah. Because remember, like I said, getting clients is an expensive affair. So once you've gotten clients, you want to make sure that, they're there, they're staying, they're retaining, they're happy. And the other thing also is that, remember, what these remote companies have is their brand and their online presence. And another asset that they have are their employees. So two most important things for remote companies, their brand and their employees. Because if your employees don't feel happy, then they're not going to serve your customers well. That means you're going to have a lot of customers leaving, which then affects your bank, right? So I always say, if there is any person who is kind of struggling, I don't know, perhaps you did a course in community service and you're wondering, I want to work remotely, where should I start?
Nilifanya hospitality, guys. Nilifanya hospitality. I did, let's say, actually, I love that you've gone there. I hear you. You're talking tech. We are talking engineers, products development, data analytics, customer experience experts, digital marketing experts, etc. So what if I just went to, what's you? Hi. You and I same what's up. What if I just did your hospitality, business administration?
Yes.
I'd want you to talk to me about what that upskilling journey looks like, because I don't think, it's tough that wasn't your undergrad, in terms of, because for most people it's just building up on what you really did back in school. But what if someone's degree or diploma has nothing to do with these roles you've mentioned, tech roles, customer experience roles, digital marketing roles? What would you advise me or them in terms of this is how then your upskilling journey should look like? Yeah.
So I guess let's take one example, right? Let's say you did hospitality, and in our meeting, I would want to understand what excites you, and if you have a job, right? So you did hospitality, you're currently working in the hospitality industry, right? I'd want to understand what excites you about your job. What do you enjoy the most, right? Because there is a lot of intersectionality between hospitality and customer service. At the end of the day, you are all serving customers, right? Whether you're dealing with, same with administration, if you're a receptionist at the moment, whether you're dealing with internal customers or external customers, we are all dealing with customers.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if you work at a call center.
Even if you work at a call center.
Yeah.
Or even in a bank.
Yeah.
You're still dealing with
every business deals with customers. Okay.
So then the thing becomes, right, how do you transition your indirect customer service experience into the remote space? And this is where, after understanding what exactly your personality and what you enjoy the most, if you are someone who is outgoing, you like organizing stuff, you're very problem-solving oriented, then I would say, let's do customer service. And even when you're doing customer service, I'd want you to then have a look at, because customer service, mind you, I know in Kenya, customer service roles is like, oh yeah, anyone can do it.
But
That is not the thing.
isn't that why we have the worst customer service in Kenya?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Because not everyone can do it.
Not everyone can do it.
Right.
Then I'd want you now to upskill and look at customer retention strategies, customer renewal strategies, customer journey mapping. How is the customer experience from when the marketers are actually selling to this potential customer all the way to when they're onboarded, the entire experience to when they leave and even after they exit. That the customer journey, that is a customer journey.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're experts for that.
They're experts
and courses for that.
Yeah. They even courses on onboarding, like customer onboarding. Right. So at the end of the day, I think you have to look at it this way. If it were your business, how would you want your customer to feel from when you communicate to them all the way to when they leave? Because they're going to be your biggest ambassadors, right? And it's the same thing for remote work. So I always like to say, think of remote work as, the role that you're going to get as your business and operate, have that mindset when you're operating.
Yeah, I love that. Earlier on, you mentioned something that I found very interesting and I'd like to discuss that, right? Talk to me about blockchain, because blockchain is hella confusing for most people. Yes. But apparently it's one of those areas that people are also sleeping on in terms of roles and industries.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think because it is...
First of all, for my viewers who need to understand what blockchain is, can we start there?
I would for a very long time, if you were to go back and watch my videos, I think at some point I would say, if anyone knows what this whole blockchain thing is, please comment down below and educate us, right? But we eventually got someone on board and, we did a live with them and they kind of broke down what blockchain is. Essentially, it is all about having decentralized finance from what I got from it.
Yeah.
Right? Having decentralized finance. So there are things like Web3, there are things like Ethereum, all that is in the blockchain ecosystem.
Yeah, I think like what most people would understand is when you just say crypto.
Crypto as well, right?
Crypto is just an example of blockchain technology.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what I like to do, because currently you're seeing most of the remote companies, because remote companies, most of them are startups, right? Most of the startups you're seeing are in the blockchain ecosystem. And they're not just hiring, the blockchain experts. They're also hiring finance specialists. Yeah. They're also hiring customer service specialists and HR specialists. So this is what I say. I don't need, because I'm a HR professional, I don't need to know the ins and outs
of Ethereum, for example.
Right. I don't need to know the different coins. I don't need to know how all that functions.
But the blockchain company itself would be looking for
a HR professional.
Yeah.
So then as a HR professional, for it to make sense for me in terms of positioning, I just need to understand the basics.
So then you would advise someone to do a basic in blockchain.
Yes.
Just so that ukiulizwa swali, unaweza tu jibu nini. Ama ukisikia wakisema something like, Ethereum, you're like, oh, I know what that is.
Exactly.
Even if I don't understand it in
an expert.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
Because they're going to be hiring experts. But then your role, let's say as a customer service professional, is to service those clients. So when they bring to you a question about Ethereum, na haujui mbele wala nyuma, you're like,
and they can tell. Do you know one of the things? I have a friend in HR. She told me like within the first 5 minutes of an interview, she can already.
Decision made.
That's not judging us. Like, give us a chance to kind of like, show you. Sometimes you're dealing with the jitters, but I think we will talk about like preparation for the interview process shortly. But maybe because I'm such a coach, I know you understand the whole summarizing thing, guys. we've just shared Lorraine's journey and story as to how she got into remote work. We've talked about some of the skills, and we've really dwelt there just so that you have a rough idea and understanding. Maybe at this moment you could just drop a comment in the section down below to just tell us which skill you have heard about that you feel has resonated with you, or which industry. So we've said tech, we've said customer experience. We've also talked about like digital marketing and all of that. We've talked about soft skills like presentation skills, communication skills, and all of that, right? And those are some of the things that, just as a summary, you need to begin to work on. However, I don't know if we mentioned earlier on, Lorraine is a badass at this. Her company, Beyond the Savannah, actually helps people to be able to go through this whole entire journey. So it's actually it's just so kind of you to come and just share this information with us freely, but you can always reach out to her. Now,
and one more thing, right? Is that if you can do your job with a laptop and a Wi-Fi, I think this is what anyone thinking, can I work remotely?
Yeah.
Just look at it this way. Can you do a job with a laptop, with a Wi-Fi, with a quiet space?
Okay.
Then yes, you can work remotely.
Then you can work remotely.
Regardless of whether you are a therapist, because you're also seeing that industry coming up with the digitalization of health records, right? You've got a number of companies in the HR, in the medicine field. Whether, unless,
I mean, even for coaches like
even for coaches like ours,
I could go a month without leaving my house. And I've been working Monday to Monday because actually I run a fully virtual company.
Even design engineers.
I mean,
architects.
Exactly.
Unless you are a civil engineer, which then requires you to be able to the ground.
Exactly.
Right. Then there you cannot work remotely. But regardless of where you are,
Yeah.
if you can do your job with those three things, that is the only prerequisite. That's space for you
in the remote space. I know everyone who's watching is just like, Susan, when are you going to ask the big question? Here's the big question, guys. Here's the big question. Where do we find this job? Because you see, I think one of the things that people are afraid of, listen, Kenyans have been conned. We've been done for, things. We don't even have enough time. As we wrap up this first section of our conversation, because we are going to go into the next part of our conversation next week, where we will be discuss money, because that's big in terms of like expectations. Where do we get this remote jobs? Please take us through what, again, you do at the Beyond the Savannah in terms of helping people access these opportunities, because I've known people to, in the process of wanting to get these jobs, pay money and get con, right? Use sites that, are probably not even legit in the first place. We want legitimate recommendations. And that's why I brought you here, by the way. Hizi zote tumeongea tu ni story. But it's good to talk about preparation, because then again, I think why our earlier on conversation was important is because even if I give you the site,
and you don't know
the skills you need, how to prepare, and it can be challenging. So very quickly, please take us through like where to get these jobs, which platforms, which site, and then we can continue from there.
So the platforms, one is of course Beyond the Savannah.ca.ke.
That's the platform.
The platform. And the reason as to why I'm honestly recommending our platform is because we have gone through the internet, we've searched for jobs, and what the jobs we're going to find on our website are specifically hiring for Africans.
I love that.
In the other websites which I'm going to share, you still have to kind of filter using time zones, which then, right, you're going to find for someone who doesn't know what time zones is, they're going to be applying for jobs in Canada, in the US, and then you end up getting rejections after rejections, and then you give up on remote work. So it's really important that you apply to opportunities that you are geographically qualified for.
Okay.
Right?
I didn't know that's a thing.
That is a thing, right? And even after sending out applications, again, you're going to need, we've talked about the skills, and that is all positioning, but how you're going to sell yourself is through your CV and through your LinkedIn and through an introductory video. which are the three most basic things that you're going to find in an application, right? I think which you're going to talk about next week.
Yeah.
But just have that in mind because, regardless, I always say at the end of the day, you're going to have to invest either your time or your money for you to learn how to apply and, just how to go around remote work and for you to land one. Yeah. So website number one is beyondthesavannah.co.ke. The second one that I absolutely trust is We Work Remotely, right? And on there, you have to, again, filter using EMEA, that is Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or just filter using global or worldwide or just Africa.
Okay.
Right? There's one that they've brought about these days, it's called MENA, that is Middle East and North Africa.
Okay.
They say, give it a shot, it's still Africa, right? But that is We Work Remotely. And then the very last one is remotive.com.
Remotive.com. So beyond the savannah,
Yes.
we work
remotely.com and then remotive.com.
Remotive.com.
Yes.
Those three websites. So I'm gonna put I think we've already done that. You've just seen on the screen recordings that we've attached. You've seen like the different websites, so you could always reach out. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Beyond the Savannah. I have a very close family member who's working with Lorraine for transparency purposes. So I've seen the job that you're doing, you guys, and I'm really, really excited to see what comes out of it. So maybe in conclusion, Lorraine, when someone comes to Beyond the Savannah,
Yes.
what's the process? I've come to you. I'm green. I have a bachelor's in, hospitality, or I have a bachelor's in economics and finance, and I want to get a finance role or an accounting role.
Yeah.
And I've come to you. What's the process?
So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to work on your CV because, again, we need you to have an ATS-friendly CV. For those of us who don't know what ATS is, it is Applicant Tracking System. And that is the system that is used for shortlisting. Okay. Not only by remote companies, even some on-site companies use it because of the numbers of applications that they get, right? So that is what we're going to work on your CV. And I refuse to do a CV revamp without having a conversation with a person.
Yeah.
So you get into a 30-minute consultation call. I want to know what excites you. What don't you like about your job? Are you looking to pivot? What do you have? How then can you upskill? And hence the reason as to why I always give courses, right? And people always leave
with code. Says we come what?
I love always leave with homework. And then so that is the CV revamp. So the second thing that you're going to work on is your LinkedIn profile because remember, it's all about positioning. Your competition is global, Susan. Right? It's not just in Kenya. If you think getting a job in Kenya is difficult, try globally.
Yeah.
And no one is going to see a CV or a LinkedIn profile that looks like this, that is not optimized, and think, I can give a chance. She looks like a potential. No, you have to show it. That's how you sell yourself. So you have to no one is coming to sell you. You have to sell yourself, right? And then the other thing that you're seeing as of January of last year, 2024, we're seeing companies were now asking for introductory videos, right? So you also need to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that at least in phase one, because I want that by the time you're done with phase one, you start sending out applications and hopefully land an interview and then land a job, right? So that is phase one of that. But then you also have things like interview prep. We've got coaching sessions. We've got pick my brain sessions, which I borrowed from you.
I love that. Yes, please.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all about talent readiness. But then also, if you, let's say, because you have people that come and say, I've got an ATS-friendly CV, I've got this and an optimized LinkedIn profile, then I say, go on straight to sending out applications. But should you want a second eye of your CV, if you want like someone to have a look at your CV, we do offer a free CV audit.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really great. Guys, I'm going to link Beyond the Savannah down below in the description box. You guys need to reach out to Lorraine. She does such an amazing job. Now, this is not the end of our conversation. This was just the beginning. So next week, we are going to upload the next part of this discussion today, where we want to talk about money. I know you guys want to know, what should my salary expectation be as an entry-level person? What should the salary, what are the ranges? I want to talk about money in terms of the ranges that you should expect in the different industries, in the different levels, because I feel like we need to manage our expectations. Because I mean, I've talked to people who had very wild expectations in terms of like how much they're ideally supposed to earn.
Yeah.
So we are
Saving grace of all.
you know. So we're going to talk about that, and then we are also going to just be giving you pointers on a step-by-step, a step-by-step journey in terms of like how you can prepare and set yourself up to actually be employable in the remote space. If you loved this conversation, you know what to do. Hit that like button, share this video with your friend, your family member who one of their New Year resolutions was to actually increase or improve their earning power or their earning potential. That's all we're talking about with Lorine here about remote work. Please remember to also turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified when we upload part 2 of this discussion next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Finance Friday.